Need advice on a computer purchase? You need a sword-wielding cyber warrior on hand to tackle your computer dragons. Here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
Before I dive in, I'm going to confess, I do have a weakness. I am not able to sing. Why am I bringing that up now? Well, because this week's show, it goes along with school days, dear old golden rule days, reading and writing and arithmetic taught to the tune of the computer memory stick. That's right, it's back to school time, and this is what we're going to talk about. Everything we're going to talk about here, all of this stuff is up online. It's up online at computertalkradio.com. We are going to be covering, yes, your back-to-school computer buying guide. Again, computertalkradio.com. If you have any questions, this is one of those special times where I'm going to avoid giving out the phone number throughout the entire show. I want you to use the website because there's going to be a lot of research that's going to usually come with whatever it is we're trying to figure out. Do you want this computer or that computer? Real quick guidelines, and we'll cover these a couple more times later on. If you have 2, 3, 4 computers you want to compare up, let me know whether it's Amazon or Best Buy or whatever place you find these computers. Find the model number and give me like the 5 full model numbers, or give me the part number that is located up on Best Buy or Amazon or whatever. Give me their SKU number, and we'll figure it out. I will help you. That is part of why we do this buying guide, to make sure that you don't make any rough decisions, poor decisions, or whatever. We've added a number of new items along the way. We've cleaned out some stale stuff. We're on board to making your new computer purchase really wonderful, actually. Some prices have been moved upwards and downwards. Actually, a number of items went up in price. And that is actually the first thing we're going to talk about. A number of different things all the way along the way. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about the proper operating system choices. No, I don't want to say proper operating. The different operating system choices. Brand names. A couple of areas where I'm going to mention, it's time to make some new decisions. We've changed our minds as prices have evolved over the years. I've been doing this for a long time. Let's dive in. I mean, this is of course back to school time. We're going to cover this again at Christmas time. It's one of those things that people have 2 really good times that are good for us to buy computers. So your budget, for starters, is your budget. Whatever your budget is, I'm going to give you guidance. I want you to understand what is reasonable, what is not so reasonable, and it's up to you really to decide that you need certain options, certain brands, various whatever. Do not be overly concerned about fitting your new computer into the sweet spot range or the gaming laptop or whatever. There is no right or wrong answer when you're deciding your budget, so long as you're not going to drive yourself broke for absolutely no reason at all. You're not going to pinch pennies until they squirt out lemon juice or anything like that. I'm going to note, in the business world, I've seen a number of companies use a figure of 2% of annual revenue for all IT expenses. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule either, and that's a business thing. If you're thinking about this for business usage, there's your guideline. But you need to go with what's best for you. Certain areas of the business, certain businesses, they're going to spend more. And like CAD, you're going to have to spend more. If it's just a bunch of word processing, you're going to spend less. And that's, again, on the business side. And then on the personal side, you just go with what's best for you. I have a number of price points, and I'm going to give you these price points out. I'm going to give you guidelines here as far as which one works in which way. Minimum. this is the price point I would not spend less than. Okay, a minimum price indicates, yeah, it's new, but it's also priced to move out the door. It's being replaced by another level of machine. It's just like the car industry. You know how they get rid of, right now they're getting rid of, the 2015 cars, and they're dropping the prices on those because they're bringing in the new 2016 cars. The problem with computers is the industry moves faster than cars. So this level is still reasonable and appropriate for some people, a lot of people. Not everybody, not even the average person, but enough so that we definitely put this minimum. Don't go below this price point, though. This is a basic system. It's workable for daily home life for the next 3 to 5 years, but it's a no-frills system. You start dropping below the minimum, what happens is you're going to get something that is not this year's model that's just expiring. You might save $50, but you get a 2-year-old, granted new, but you might get a 2-year-old system or a 3-year-old system or worse. So the value at that low end tends to be kind of flat. A 5-year-old system, you're going to save maybe $100. Don't do it. So you're not going to expect to play the latest games or run a business on this level. It's meant for word processing, internet, some YouTube, and so forth. Now, there's this sweet spot range. Everybody, I hope, understands it's the best bang for your buck. It's not leading edge. You think of the knife. We've got a leading edge, the front edge of the knife, and then we've got the bleeding edge where you get cut. But you are going to spend, in this sweet spot range, you're going to be spending enough to warrant a decent system for that 5-year lifetime ahead of you. It is higher this time around. As a matter of fact, a number of different things are higher. The reason why is because right now it's just that proper timing where, we're getting some good value out of these things, but we're also getting a lot of power out of these. You're not going to break the bank, nothing like that. And I will cover that here in just a moment, all these different numbers. Loaded, that's the leading edge range. There's extra things thrown in for speed, for appearance, for durability. It is not overly aggressive, but for some people it's going to be reasonable. I spec business computers in this range. That's right. I spec them right here. As a matter of fact, it also tends to match up right now. It's matching up somewhere in that Apple range, too. Very interesting thing there. This is business computers. I do them in this range because there's a concept that computers are getting extra usage, and time is money and money is time. Yes, we've all heard that. Overkill? Yeah, it's bleeding edge. This is something where you've approached that law of diminishing returns. No, you haven't approached it. You've just passed it. So anything you spend extra beyond here, you've got to have a really good reason. Some form of CAD that you're dealing with, specialty software, maybe something special, and you've got a little bit of extra money to burn. But it's really overkill for almost everybody. Anyways, not hard and fast rules. These are guidelines. So let me go through these real quick. Minimum. And I'm going to go through 4 different categories: desktop, gaming desktop, laptop, and gaming laptop. For both the desktop and laptop, we're looking at a minimum $300. Yeah, you can get some really nice hardware for $300. Do not drop below this $300 point. And when I say don't drop below it, if it's a matter of $275, you've dropped below it. That $275 really is not the expiring 2015 model. It's the 2014 model. The gaming desktop, $750. Gaming laptop, $900. For desktops, sweet spot, $400 to $900. Gaming desktop, $1,000 to $1,800. The laptop, generalized laptop, $600 to $1,200. Gaming laptop, $1,250 to $1,800. Then we move into the loaded range. Desktops, $1,000. That's a loaded desktop. A loaded gaming desktop, though, is going to be $2,000. Yeah. Laptop, $1,800. This is like the really nice, cool model laptop. And the loaded gaming laptop, $2,050. Now, where we go overkill? $1,400 for a desktop, gaming desktop, $2,600. Laptop, $2,400, unless you're going for that gaming laptop, in which case it's $2,700. Now, Macs, non-Windows tablets, those are outside of this pricing structure, and also know that there's sometimes no rhyme or reason other than a particular brand name that's going to affect the pricing. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Windows, Mac, or Linux. That'll be next here on Computer Talk Radio. Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com. Everything that I'm talking about is posted up online at computertalkradio.com. I am Benjamin Rockwell. I am a nerd. That's why I'm the host of, yes, Computer Talk Radio. All right, so the very first thing that's on everybody's mind is if you haven't really made up this decision, this is kind of the big one. It's the toughest question to handle, and it's all part of the Ultimate Undecided Argument series, which is like Star Wars or Star Trek. Do we leave the power on overnight, or do we turn the computer off? Firefly or Stargate Universe, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. Look, I'm not going to draw any lines here. You really are the one who has to decide whether you're going to go with Windows, Mac, or Linux. Before you choose something other than what you already know, what you already have, I want you to experiment in the store. I want you to at least find a friend's computer, something. Work with it for a couple of hours. You may find that you stick with the same thing. You may find that you really like the different operating system. So that's kind of what I'm going to say there. By the numbers, what people have purchased over the past 10 years has changed a little bit, but not much at all. According to netapplications.com, they're really famous for doing all of these numbers. In November 2007, Windows accounted for 96%, Apple Mac for 3.5%, and Linux for the remainder. Now, today, both Apple and Linux have risen, but not tremendously. I'll cover those numbers when we get to each operating system. First, the one you've likely heard about. You've seen it on television, you've seen it in the movies, but you probably never really knowingly used it. Now, I say knowingly because the Mac operating system is actually based on Linux. Android is based on, Linux. But for a desktop, for a laptop, this is an approach that it's only if you have very little money and you're willing to completely give up support options, you're hoping to save money for a few extra chai lattes or whatever. Now, there is another option if this is your fifth computer. You've got like all of these computers around, but then again, I would not buy a computer in Linux. I would actually buy a new computer running Windows or Mac, and then use your oldest computer as a test bed for Linux, and then just go to town. When you've gotten tired of it, you can go back to Windows or the Mac operating system, And then you also have the option, of course, of trying out other Linux distributions. Now, all combined versions and flavors of Linux are used by about 2.3% of the computer owners in the world. It's geeky, although it's also nerdy. It's cumbersome for some, and it's distinctly odd. You will, not you might, you will have a hard time finding support, and you may wish that you'd purchased an actual Red Hat instead. That's a Linux joke, by the way. Linux, one of the versions is called Red Hat, but that's another story altogether. Now, Windows. All right, now we're going to go into, this is kind of a tougher area, Windows versus Mac. And Keith and I could spend hours going back and forth on this. And I'm going to be the first to admit that I'm not a Windows fanboy, but yet I'm going to note that I am a realist of the numbers of comfort for most users. Windows, in some form, accounts for 89.79% of the users of personal computers. It has a cheaper upfront cost by a little bit of a margin. It's not as huge as it used to be. And it simply has held its ground as the overwhelming market leader. Now, this option applies to a large amount of people and has strong points ranging from support being available almost anywhere, software availability, software compatibility, hardware customization. Support is available at most major stores, and there's support available at Apple stores. Availability of software is always a key thing. Availability of free software. Now, this is something that if you are in the gaming world, this becomes more applicable. In the business world, there are many alternatives available if you decide to go down the Macintosh route. Now, the upgrades to hardware are simple, and the units are designed for the ease of upgrades. Now, some people don't upgrade their hardware very often, so that may not be a deciding factor for you. So Windows 10 is the route for most people. If you're going to go Windows 10. There are some privacy issues, but as many argue, the age of privacy on the computer may be all but actually dead. Windows 7 is out there. It's still out there. You're going to pay a small premium to get Windows 7. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not convinced that it's worth it. Make the jump now. If you're getting a new computer, just go into Windows 10. Now, let's dive into the Macintosh operating system. And Keith is going to talk about his buying guidelines as far as for the Apple. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to ring true with a lot of generalized buying guidelines for any system. Now, obviously, the Apple brand has advanced a lot. It's brought a lot of awareness into our homes because of their smartphones, their tablets, and we've seen them in usage by our friends, our neighbors. The iPhone is everywhere. The iPad is everywhere. Further advances using things like virtual machines that run Windows under Mac have also changed the environment somewhat. Now, their market share, 7.87%. And this represents a doubling over those 9 years. However, it's still kind of there's a lot more people buying Windows still today. So we'll see how that all plays out in the long run. I do believe that there's something to be said for competition. I do believe that Mac is the underdog, and there are some benefits to doing the Mac. And I'm going to also say that there are Keith would say anybody should run a Mac. I'm going to say that there are good examples of people who I would suggest that they look into the Mac versus Windows. All right. People who are looking to expand their computer experience. They want to learn the Mac. Great idea. Because it is available with something called Parallels or VMware Fusion, you can run Windows underneath the Mac operating system. It is not perfect. It is not ideal running it like that, but you can still run a number of software packages other than your gaming stuff other than some of your high-end, your CAD stuff and stuff like that. Oddly enough, in the graphic arts, if you're into photoshopping, you're into video, you're in the design industry, you're in the movie industry, that becomes a different standpoint altogether. You should definitely look at the Mac. If you know the software that you are looking for is available on the Mac, all of it, everything that you need is available on the Mac, and anything is not available on a PC, that might shift your decision in that direction. New users in the computer world, you haven't had a computer of your own, you're looking to dive in, the Mac is really, really nice for those new users. It's a little bit more user-friendly, if you will. I want you to make sure that you have support for the Mac before you decide to go down that road. I want you to have somebody who can come alongside of you and say, yeah, this is what you do. I'm talking friends. I'm not talking the local retail store. Users that are in environments that are otherwise dominated by Macs. If you see Macs all around you, yeah, go for it. Previous Mac owners, of course, definitely. Now, these are not hard set items, just guidelines. And feel free to provide any feedback at computertalkradio.com in regards to any of this, any comments that you have. Just go online and click on Contact Us. Keith M. Sedor is going to join me next, and his guidelines actually for purchasing a Mac actually apply all the way across the board. So we'll be good there. We'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, two guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888.
Keith M. Sedor joins you now. Oh, wait, that's
me. He does. Yes, that is you.
Hi, Benjamin.
Hi. All right, so...
This is an exciting time of year.
Yes, it's back to school, of course, and as we've already covered...
We still have another month out here in New Jersey.
Well, different parts of the country go back to school at different times.
One of my friends in Tennessee, his kids went back to school this week. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's in case they have, you have snow days, they have tornado days, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I just remember back in the day, the whole purpose of not being in school during the summer is because it was too hot.
Blazingly hot, yes.
Now, the advent of air conditioning, I guess it's no longer a thing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I have no idea. All right, so that's the voice, of course, of Keith M. Sedor. And he is our Mac Guru. Website, MyMacGuru.com, of course.
And also on Facebook.
Yes. Keith, one of the big things, of course, is that there are people out there that do need buying guidance when it comes to looking at the Macs. What are some of the things that first come to mind for you when people are talking about buying a Mac?
Well, the first thing I want to know is, do they already have a Mac?
Okay.
How old is the Mac? Are they looking at a laptop or a desktop? And a lot of times I will encounter people who are not already Mac users. They might be Windows users and they're looking to switch. There has been a great exodus from the Windows platform over the last decade or so, and it's been glorious, I have to tell you. But we can talk about that in another show. But I digress. One of the most important things I really do need to know when helping a client pick out a new Mac is what do they need to do with it? Now, one of the things I've traditionally done was take the equation backwards. What do I mean by that? Well, we never want to start with any one computer and then just blow out specifications and then say, oh, it does this, this.
Right, exactly.
Basically, I like to say, what do you need the computer to do for you? And if they just need basic internet and email and web browsing and word processing, most computers can handle the basics of that. But if they say, oh, I really want to take videos that I shot on my iPhone and bring them into iMovie, or I want to edit audio in GarageBand, or I have a lot of iTunes songs and I need a huge library. Basically, what we do is we take their needs and we say, okay, for the things you want to do, you need this specific software. And this software has these hardware requirements for it to work optimally.
Sure. Okay.
And once we know their needs and we know their software, we can then build the computer specifications around exactly what they need. And there are options on Apple's website where you can go to their store and build it out the way you like. But one of the things that's really important, Benjamin, and a lot of people ask me, should I buy now? And somebody said, well, do you need a computer now? And they're like, oh, well, I know, but I don't know if Apple's going to be coming out with something next week. So there is a wonderful buyer's guide that I use on the MacRumors.com website. It's at buyersguide.macrumors.com. And basically, it will give you traffic light colors. Buy now, it's green. Wait, it's got a cautionary color. And then it's red, it says don't buy. We are expecting updates. Because one of the things this buyer's guide does is it takes an average life cycle. And life cycle planning is really important. It takes an average life cycle of how many days there have been over the last 5 upgrade or refresh cycles and creates an average. If the buying cycle is now way past the average, there's an expectation that new replacements will be coming soon, and it might be best to wait so you don't buy yesterday's technology and then a couple weeks from now, something brand new comes out. Like, for example, a lot of my clients who are interested in new laptops, I'm having them get a little extra use out of the ones they have now because completely redesigned MacBook Pros are expected in the fourth quarter.
Now, that is one of those things, of course, that if you can hold out for that, this time of year, of course, a lot of people are talking about that back to school kind of thing. What do you recommend for the college students in the Mac world?
Well, to answer your last comment, if you need a computer now, I'm not going to tell you to wait 3 months until new ones come out because it's a continuing carousel and it doesn't stop moving and you just have to jump on when you need it. For people going back to school, I know a lot of times when parents are buying kids laptops to take to school, they're thinking in terms of lightweight and portability. And the new MacBook, the 12-inch MacBook, which is lighter and thinner than the MacBook Air, which I think is probably going to get end-of-lifed at some point in the not-too-distant future because it's so light and thin. For a lot of kids who just need the basics, this is a good computer for them. But I know a lot of other people who want the computer to be their everything, even though they're going to college. They want it to be their repository for all their photos on their phone. And they want to store a lot of movies and music and other content on them.
Okay. All right.
And they want the biggest screen possible because they're not going to have a desktop. The 15-inch MacBook Pro is a computer I have hooked many of my clients' college-bound kids up with, and it lasts them all 4 years of college. So they get a top-of-the-line computer to start their college experience with, and it lasts them all the way through.
Well, it'll last them through the 4 years. When we start talking about master's degrees and doctorates, of course, I imagine that's the point where you're going, yeah, I need something a little bit more beefy.
The life cycle of the average Mac is about 5 years. So whenever a client has a Mac that we're setting up today, brand new, we always mark the calendar 5 years out from that date, and we're already planning for our next upgrade. So this way, when we do life cycle planning, we don't have any surprises down the road.
I like that too because it gives you that chance to start setting those small little amounts of money aside in your bank account.
It helps you budget.
You budget, you set it aside for that next purchase,
Absolutely.
Is absolutely great. I think that's a stellar way to do it versus, oh, yeah, put it here on my American Express card or MasterCard or whatever. Yeah.
Keep in mind, one of the things that I'm a big proponent of, especially for the college students, is having Apple Care. Because it's not like when you buy a car and there's some third-party warranty company warranting parts of your car and you don't know if they're going to be around when you need help. Apple Care is actually Apple extending their own 1-year warranty to a full 3 years. And the nice thing is if you don't happen to have an Apple certified consultant like me at your beck and call, the 90 days of free phone support you get with your Mac is extended to a full 3 years. You get 3 years of phone support with Apple when you get Apple Care. So that is something I absolutely recommend people put on any Mac they get, laptop or desktop.
Very cool. I'm Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
I'll be back with more of our semi-annual buying guide here on Computer Talk Radio.
Benjamin is always ready to answer your questions. You may submit your questions online using the contact form at the Computer Talk Radio website, computertalkradio.com.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com. If you are in an area where you only get an hour of this show, please go to the website. Again, I'll give that out in a second. Go to the website and either get the podcast or go to the YouTube because I've got all of the details there. I've got the written details. You can print that out. You can take it with you to the shopping store. Or when you go shopping, you can also listen to all of the different comments that I've got along the way through the podcast, through YouTube, so forth. ComputerTalkRadio.com. Now, Keith kind of hit on this next portion, a matter of he referenced tablets, and we are moving in an interesting direction. This used to be a really interesting, or not really interesting, just the easy choice for us to make, and now it's really up to you. There's desktop, laptop, or tablet, and we have tablets now. We have Windows tablets running Windows 10. Now, they're kind of weak. They're kind of underpowered. And when I say kind of, I mean talking really. But they still might accomplish many of the normal features, functionality, and so forth. But I strongly suggest that you consider those as an interim item and you still stick with the desktop or laptop for many other things. In the consumer world, more laptops are sold than desktops. So the portable route is just it's actually more than just a trend. It is just the way people are going. If you really want a laptop, you want that portability, it's actually a good thing. There are a few different things you give up. Screen size. When I went searching, I found very few 18 and 19-inch laptops. There are 17-inch screens. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anything that's large. So if you've got vision issues, that's a concern. If you want multiple screens, you can do that with a number of laptops these days, but check out the functionality of those. The power between them, between desktops and laptops, is almost equaled out. It used to be you'd get a laptop and it'd be for the same price and it'd be way underpowered. Now these days they're pretty much keeping up. Now, let me just say, look, there's downsides to the laptop. I've owned just shy of a dozen laptops. And actually, no, a dozen laptops, now that I think of it. And I like them all very much. At the same time, I use my desktops 75% of the time or more. Okay, a laptop is vulnerable to all kinds of abuse that your desktop will never see. Well, partially because you're carrying it around. You're utilizing it all the time in a mobile kind of concept. The price, it's about the same as a comparable PC. The expected life expectancy from sort of the statistics guys, the durability, the overall concept, because they get banged around, it's about 3/4 of the time of a desktop. Now, the screen options, I already mentioned those. The upsides, all right. The upsides, portable. You can take it to a friend or neighbor's house. You can take it off for getting repair a lot easier. Desktop, yeah, it is more cumbersome. You really will find that with a laptop, you've got some flexibility. You want to move downstairs. You want to work on the kitchen table for a little while. You want some space to spread out. That's great. You want to go off into I don't know, the tree house. I don't know, just different ideas that might come to mind. College students are definitely going to covet that concept of the laptop. They want to be able to take it to class. They want to be able to take it to the coffee shop. They really want to be out and about with their computing power. Business users, yeah, they're going to need something to travel with too. If they're traveling at all, yeah, laptop is the way to go. Tablets, again, yeah, Apple actually came out with a TV ad recently that really is focused on saying that the iPad Pro is a computer. They're pairing it up with a keyboard in this ad. They're really pushing the concept that you are now computing. You are truly computing. You've got the access to word processing and spreadsheets. You've got access to the internet and everything else. So there's a lot there. Now, there are ups and downs. We didn't really hit on tablet pricing out there, but I'm going to give you some suggestions right now. I suggest the name brands, and specifically the Apple iPad series, Pro, Mini, whatever. Stick with those. Stick with Samsung if you're going into the Android direction. And I'm going to mention, only if you're in the Kindle infrastructure already, the Kindles are nice. They are not going to be a substitute for any kind of desktop activities, whereas, yes, the iPads and the Samsung tablets can substitute somewhat. It all depends on how much you're getting into it. If you're looking to save a few dollars, yeah, don't be tempted by the no-name brands. Stick with the name brands. There is no such thing as almost as good as in this particular world here. Make sure you also plan for your extras that you're going to need. You want a keyboard? You're going to plan for $60 to $100 more for that. You want the ability to access the internet anywhere in the world. As far as via cellular, that's going to be a cost as well. This is Benjamin Rockwell, the website computertalkradio.com. I'll be back in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site, S-I-T-E, ground.com. All right, now I mentioned some brand names. I was talking about Apple, Samsung, Kindles maybe. Now that was for tablets. Choosing a brand on laptops or desktops is sometimes more of a preference. No, it really is more of a preference than a must-do. From past history, I've had good luck with some brands and not so good luck with other brands. But then again, some of that luck has changed over the years, too. There is a concept, and it's called a white box vendor. And it's so-called white box. They used to be white, and it didn't have any name brand on it, or it had some name brand you never heard of. And it was these concept of companies that make them for you cheaper and better than the name brands. Except they weren't cheaper, and they were not better. And, I mean, if we go back far enough, you could get a custom-built PC, and it was cheaper than the name brands. But today, no. You're going to actually spend more for a custom-built PC unless it is through one of the configurators from the major brand names. If you're a novice, just go for the brand name company with an established reputation for quality. And this is in either the laptop or desktop. And this is kind of in my order of preference from my experience and some of the reviews I've done over the years. Not calling out Lenovo here, or Apple at the moment. Apple is Keith's world. In the Windows world, Lenovo, HP, Dell, Acer, they all make very nice computers that will last you a while. There are nuances between each brand, however. Lenovo, for a while, they were really rocking the world with outstanding pricing and sales volume. In recent days, their quality has dropped off a little bit, not dramatically. Everybody's running kind of neck and neck right now. If you want to discuss a particular brand name with me, drop me a line. Go to the website, go to computertalkradio.com, and give me examples of the laptops you're comparing up. And that's plain and simple. It's really easy. The model numbers are key here. I kind of like comparing them up and saying between these two, with these two prices, I would go for option. I'll go for what's behind door number 2, please. Whatever it is. Now, I will note, if you want a Mac, there is no other brand other than Apple. You may have heard of something called the Hackintosh. That concept died off. It wasn't worth the headache to anyone except for the hardcore nerds back then. The nerds, the geeks that were really, well, they were doing something that they were doing it for fun. They were doing it to say, I did this. I was one of those that did that. It's gone. Don't even bother looking for it. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and of course you're listening to Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with RadioFactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. TheRadioFactory.com.
Before you shoot your computer, give Benjamin Rockwell a call. Helping you gain the upper hand with your computer, here is Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
We are in the middle of our annual back-to-school computer buying guide. We do this every year right around this time. We will also be back at Christmas time with the latest update for the Christmas buying season. Right now, I'm going to dive into a little bit more of the details, a little bit more of the different areas which you want to work around with, you want to try things out. This is kind of some of the options that get beyond the brand name, that get beyond just the different price points and stuff like that. We can talk about things like the CPU. What's the CPU? That's the main chip. That's the brain. That's the power of your computer's thinking. And we're all familiar, I hope, with the concept of the i3, the i5, the i7. Those are the Intel processors. There are some others out there. There's AMD is a big name as well. But I do notice that a lot of people are looking at the Intel processors. I'm going to tell you right now, simply put, the way you tell between the different processors. Now, this is up online. You can go to computertalkradio.com. All of the details that we're covering here are up online. But the first generation processor, the i7, i3, i5 dash, and then it had 3 digits following that. And those 3 digits indicate that first generation. Then they moved to 4 digits, and they've done the same thing ever since. Now, the second generation, i7, i3, i5, are all in the 2000 series. It'll be like 2478, and that 2 at the beginning indicates it's generation 2. So there's a 5 at the beginning. It's in the 5000s. Maybe there's a letter in there or something like that. That's fine. But those 5000 series, those are the 5th generation, 6000, so forth. The 5th and 6th generation CPUs are what you want. If you go with the AMD chips, there's a lot of tricky stuff there. You really need to run it up online. Google the difference between the AMD whatever versus the Intel i3 dash whatever. And you just Google that. If you run into problems, you're trying to compare these CPUs back and forth to each other, you need help with it, contact me. Drop me an email with the specific model numbers of the laptops, the desktops, whatever, and I'll run a comparison check against a few references, and I will get back to you. The email is the best way just because I get a number of these requests at this time of year and at Christmas time, and it helps me so I can research them. So computertalkradio.com. Now, one key thing, do not buy the latest and greatest super chip either, and this is ever really, unless you really have a lot of money. If the cost of the CPU is bogging down the price of your computer, it's usually not worth it. This is one of those things where we deal with what we've got. We deal with our budget, and it automatically starts fixing itself by doing that. Now, due to interesting little differences in how the Mac operating system works and the Windows operating system works, the Mac OS can handle a chip that's a little bit less powerful as long as you're not running Windows. Again, we talked about that Parallels or VMware Fusion underneath the Mac operating system. If you're running Windows on that machine, yeah, it's going to run fine, but it's not going to be the same kind of experience that it's going to be on the Windows system speed-wise. Reliability-wise, actually, tends to do quite well. Tablets have their own world with CPU. You just go for the latest model of that tablet, and you're going to be fine with that. I have found that, yes, you can get an older tablet and you'll save 20%. It's not worth it. Now let's talk about hard drives. This is your storage space. Hard drives are important based on what you're storing on them. You've got a lot of music. Great. You're dealing with video editing. You may have some concerns there. But even the lowest end computers, the ones I refer to as minimum price, they're coming with hard drives that are large enough for the average person. You'd have to have a lot of music. You'd have to have just an amazing amount of music or an amazing amount of video if you ran out of hard drive space. I will note, if you are dealing with video, the minimum computers, if you're doing video editing and stuff like that, you're looking for a laptop or a desktop in that sweet spot range that we talked about. And again, it's up online. If you're dealing with MP3s, here's a little guideline. 10,000 songs fits into about 40 gigs. Most hard drives have, in the bare bones range, the cheap ones, 250 gigs. If you really have more music than this, I would say go for larger external hard drives and store your information like that offline. There is a new key component to look for right here, and that is the solid-state drive. Many systems are not coming with the solid-state drives. When we start pricing them out, everybody seems to put in the regular ones unless you start getting up there in price. However, for a small fee, you can actually add one in. I say add one in because what I'm looking at here is this. The hardware for a 250 gig SSD solid-state drive as your primary hard drive should run about $75 to $100, but the speed is amazing. My reboot time on my system at the office, which has an SSD drive, is under a minute, and that is from having the desktop, clicking on start, shut down, powering it all the way down. When it powers off, hitting the power again, and it boots up. It's under a minute. And way under a minute, actually. It's just amazing how fast it reboots. You want to take the original hard drive that comes with the system, and you make that your secondary drive. Now, it's tricky. Some laptops allow for 2 hard drives. If you have a laptop, you don't actually have much of that option for secondary hard drive, unless you move to external. And there's special kits you can get for that. So you convert that hard drive into, yes, an external hard drive. But in a regular desktop, you're basically making that, or in laptops that support this, you're making that secondary hard drive the place to store your music, your video, your everything that is not programs. That solid-state drive handles all of that. It should take any technician half an hour to make this conversion for you at purchase time. Most places, they'll do that. They'll throw in the labor for free. Why? Because it's just an easy upgrade there. They may notch it up a matter of $30, $40. It's all right. If they start notching it up $100, yeah, forget it. Do not get any systems that call out an 8 gigabyte, 16 gigabyte solid-state drive. No, you really want something that's large enough to handle almost all of your applications on SSD. It really is an amazing difference. There are hybrid drives out there, and I think that's what they're referring to when they talk about stuff like this. And I'm not keen on that any longer. It used to be a great way to save money. You could buy that hybrid drive, and you'd get a lot of that SSD response out of your operating system and many things, but you get that storage size returned back to you. It was a nice idea, but now today, the cost on the full-blown SSD drives, again, $75 to $100 for 250 gigs. That is, again, that's really a hard drive that's large enough for most people. And that's the size of the hard drive I've got at the office. I do have an external hard drive, 4 terabytes, that holds all kinds of other data on it, but I don't need that fast access to it. I already have a USB 3 connection to that external hard drive, so it's lightning fast anyways. But that just blazing, the flash, that Superman speed out of that 250 gig SSD is just great. So you've got some ideas there. I'm really strongly suggesting that solid state drive option if you want some speed to it. And we've got some other stuff coming along next here on Computer Talk Radio. And, of course, the website, computertalkradio.com. And you'll find everything I'm talking about there. I'll be back in just a moment.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Everything I'm talking about is available online at computertalkradio.com. If you missed anything already, you missed the first hour, go there. We've got the podcast, we've got YouTube, we've got a number of different ways for you to review everything that we've covered so far. Now, we're talking about the computer purchasing guide, again, available online at computertalkradio.com. RAM is the next item. This is the memory. This is your active, while the computer is running, this is where everything, all of the programs reside. Almost all computers run faster with more memory to work with. But there's this point where you've got enough and more isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. It used to be that we just put in, if you'd put in 2 gigs, but if you put in 4 gigs, it would run faster. And then we got to the point where we said, okay, 4 gigs is kind of where you want to be, but if you can push it to 8 gigs or maybe 12 if you really need the power, great. The interesting thing is it started to level off. If you're running less than 8 gigs of memory, this is one of the first places which you can use to improve the computer. However, I would go for the SSD drive first. For a new computer, here's your basic guidelines. Minimum choice for any system out there should be 4 gigs. If it has less than 4 gigs, other than those weird Windows 10 tablets, and I shouldn't say weird, I've got one and I actually enjoy it, they're allowed to have less than the 4 gigs. But otherwise, any laptop, desktop, if it has less than 4 gigs, move on. 8 to 12 is, or 16 is better, with the knowledge that computer programs are becoming larger. The programmers, they've got more room to work with, so they're making their programs bigger. If you are buying over 8 gigs, you're buying a little bit of room now to avoid headaches in the future. Well, 4 gigs is a good starting point. If you get that now, down the line, keep in mind you may wish to upgrade to 8 gigs. But this isn't hard and fast, and it may work out just fine for you. The next item on your video graphics card. Now, your budget machines. You can go with integrated or shared graphics, but they're going to be a little bit slower. They're going to chew into the RAM. That's the number I mentioned earlier. If you've got an integrated or shared graphics card, I would suggest a little bit more memory. It may actually help you out. If you've got a dedicated graphics card, there is a slightly less of a need for additional memory, but it gets into this weird little number thing, and we start looking at the overall system and saying, okay, this is where you're going to upgrade, this is where you're going to get more power. Gaming and video are going to be slower, choppier, if you have that integrated or shared graphics. If you start getting into any heavy gaming, you'll want a separate card. Sometimes you really want to just spend a little bit of money and put in that separate graphics card. If you're spending over, I don't know, $600, $700 on a desktop, you should consider a separate graphics card. And this is one of those situations where you may get up to that $600 desktop, and now you want to move to that $700 desktop. Well, that extra $100 should be invested into that video card. So you might consider a $600 integrated graphics and then put in that add-on card that's $100, and you may actually wind up with about this. You are going to wind up with about the same power, maybe even a little bit more than that $700 one that has the built-in graphics or the added-on graphics card. There are some caveats all the way along in regards to custom systems and all of this. Do not spend more than $100 on a video card without knowing specifically that you need it for sure. And this is from the specs on a specific video game or video editing software package. Now, laptops, you can sometimes upgrade the card as well. I've only seen a few people do this. This was something that, oh yeah, it's upgradable. Nah. These days, they actually start calling out that they do have this particular type of graphics on it or that particular types. Reserve this option for if you really know that you can do it and need it. And then I'd actually suggest moving to a gaming laptop or a customizable laptop. There's laptops out there, $6,000. They're highly customizable, but they're overkill. They are truly way overkill for most people, unless they're doing something weird like CAD, in high-level CAD. Screen size. You're on a desktop. Now, Mac has a little bit of a different world there. They've got 21-inch screens. I think they've got a full 24-inch screen. I'll have to ask Keith on that one. In the desktop world for Windows, I would strongly suggest, dual monitors. You can buy one at 24-inch, buy a second one, 24-inch. This is a 24-inch class is what they call it. Widescreen monitor. But you can buy 2 of them. They're $150 a piece. And what happens is you get a combined display area that is huge. Think of all of the space on your desktop, your true desk. The thing that your monitors are sitting on. Think of all that space there. And if you've got a large desk, 2 monitors side by side actually works out really nice. I have a number of monitors. On a daily basis, I don't have any systems right now other than the laptops which do not have multiple monitors. And the reason for that is I can put multiple things on different monitors. For instance, right now I'm looking on one screen over here. I have software that is running the soundboard. I have on another screen right here, I've got all of the data that's up in regards to what I'm talking about. And then on another screen, I've got that's just a news feed over there, just stuff going on. So it's wonderful power. Dual 24-inch monitors is a sweet spot for productivity. I love it. Anything else is going to be overkill for almost everyone else. I use 4 monitors at the office, but only 2 of those are actually primary. The other 2 are supplemental for stuff that I just want to kind of move off to the side and want to glance over once in a while and see if it's still running, that particular whatever it is. Laptops, we run in a different direction. The smaller the laptop, the smaller the screen. If you want a light laptop without the drives that's small, you're going to have a small screen. The standard size right now, 15.6 inches. It's a widescreen. If you want all of the extras like a DVD drive, floppy drive, you'll get a larger screen along with that. Do not bother with anything larger than 17 inches. Really, you can deal with a 17-inch, but anything over that, unless you're really looking for that power and you're not traveling much, because it's going to get heavy. Tablets, this is an area where, youth, 5 to 25, they're going to be fine with the smaller screens, but you're really going to want to try utilizing it as a reader. You're going to want to go online, go to go online to computertalkradio.com, read this entire buying guide from top to bottom on a tablet, and then you'll have an idea of how that is going to work out for you over the long haul. This is really a key factor when you're looking at tablets. You want that comfort in reading. You should be able to look away after that and say, okay, yeah, I can see everything normal. My eyes aren't strained. Again, you're looking at reading for 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah, most stores are going to freak out a little bit on that, but that's okay. It's worth it to make sure you get the right size tablet. More items in regards to this computer purchasing guide for back to school are going to be here next on Computer Talk Radio. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, 2 guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The entire 2016 summer back to school buying guide. We're in process right now, of course, on Computer Talk Radio, website computertalkradio.com. And I've gone through a number of different things. Let me move into CD, DVD, Blu-ray. Basically, right now, it's pretty much 2 options. DVD, which reads CDs, or Blu-ray, which reads the DVDs and CDs. So you're going to pay a little bit more for that Blu-ray concept. If it's coming with a system, you're basically... or if it's coming with a system, if an optical drive is on there, it's going to be one or the other, the DVD, and it'll be a writer, or it's going to be Blu-ray. Now, a lot of laptops, especially the Ultrabooks, they're getting rid of them. That's because Yeah, the optical drive media is going away. Blu-ray does exist, and some machines come with Blu-ray. Now, this isn't something you're going to avoid, but you're going to find that you have less use for this. Don't use this as a purchasing decision. Oh, it comes with Blu-ray. Unless you've gone Blu-ray in a majority of rooms in your home. This is one of those things that this optical drive, DVD or Blu-ray, isn't really needed as much anymore. It's a nice to have. Used to be a mandatory. You really had to have a CD drive, and then when DVDs came out, you had to have a DVD drive. Now, oh well. There are some other things that they're going to talk about. Cache, C-A-C-H-E. Front side bus, your memory speed, your this, that, whatever. There's a number of different specifications. I will tell you right now, I used to talk about this. I don't anymore. As your computer price goes up, the specs will follow. It's good for comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges, stuff like that, but these are not options. These are merely really nerdy features. This isn't like comparing up a matter of, oh, okay, it's a 4-cylinder engine or a 6-cylinder engine or an 8-cylinder engine in a car. This is a matter of your air conditioning manages to put out this much cold air versus that much cold air. It just, you don't need to worry about it. There are some extras that I'm going to suggest, and you can spend a fortune on a computer. You can spend a fortune on all of the different add-ons, the different extras that are out there. I've got a number of favorite suggestions for anyone that's looking to purchase anything that we've mentioned here in the show. Standard computers. Okay, we've got this is tablets are going to be separate, but standard computers. Look at that external hard drive. And I want you to look for 4 to 6 terabytes. It should be USB 3.0. This is the latest standard. This is the really good sweet spot. You're looking at just a little over $100 for this. Do not save $15 to get a 1 terabyte hard drive. I know right now 4 terabytes, it sounds like a lot of space. We're going to use that as a backup drive. We're going to use that to put anything else that's extra. We're going to store all kinds of stuff on that. This is going to be something that's going to be usable for a long time to come. It's worth just spending that extra $10. Trust me. Printers. If you already have purchased a printer in the last, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years, and it's working right now, don't buy it. For business, I will note laser printers are more expensive up front, but the inkjet only exists today really for photo printing options. If you're talking about giving this to someone who's a shutterbug, you're a shutterbug, great, go for inkjet. The laser printer is really the only direction. Over the long haul, inkjets just cost more per page. Now, if you need color, and this is a student, there are some needs to print. They really should have color. This is one of those things where doing inkjet for a student, if you want to save a little bit of money now, may actually be all right. Scanners, there are an assortment of good scanners out there. A lot of people are going for the all-in-one printers. So they've got scan, fax, and copier, and, of course, laser printer or inkjet printer. You want to figure out which one you're getting, laser or inkjet, first. Look at comparison pages, see which one you like, and then figure out which of the all-in-ones fall under that category. Now, let's look at for desktops. Desktops, these are just extras. These are add-ons. Look at battery backups. Look for cable management. Look for extra cords for your accessories. So if you've got an iPhone, get an extra iPhone cord. Yeah, I have all kinds of cords around here, micro USB and mini USB and so forth. But get extras for anything that you've got that's an accessory. Cords are cheap. So it's worth having those around. Laptops, carrying case. The basic black case is still around, but there's so many options out there with character. Look for protection. Look for something that looks like it's going to be solid and hold up. It's got a good amount of padding. So if you have a laptop in there, you drop the laptop or you set it down kind of rough, you kick it around a little bit, it should hold up pretty well. Extra battery. If you travel more than twice a year, you want this crucial accessory. I will tell you right now, salespeople will wheel and deal. They'll sometimes throw in an extra battery just to close the deal. This is really a nice little closing tool for them. Try to hold out for that. Docking stations, port replicators, there's a weird thing with that. You need to look at what you're going to be dealing with every time you hook up the docking station / port replicator. See if it really makes sense for you, especially if you're going to be really at the kitchen table all the time. You don't really need the docking station. So if you're not hooking up an external monitor, you don't need the docking station. Tablets, various items, carrying case. Again, you want durable. You don't really necessarily need waterproof or anything like that, but they do have them available. Portable battery. A nice 4,000 or 6,000 milliamp per hour. It's going to give you a full charge anywhere. Look at the specs. They actually have them available in 12 and even larger than that. An extra charger, that's always good, especially if you're traveling. And apps. You need to figure on $50 in apps, especially if this is a gift. So that's always a good thing to think about. Steve Keske joins me next. We're going to talk about senior citizens and, this computer purchasing buying guide. That'll be here on Computer Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Of course, this is the computer buying guide that we do at back to school time. The reality is a number of senior citizens do go back to school. Then do they get their college degrees? Also a matter of this is just a good buying time. So that's why I brought on Steve Keske. And Steve, I'm sure that there's a number of different considerations that people should have when they're senior citizens, or if they're buying for senior citizens. What's the biggest one that comes to mind for you?
Well, the biggest one that comes to mind for me is, we've got to be able to say, one, simplicity, and two, you have to have visual.
Yes.
So in the visual category, basically what you have to do is make sure that the screens, if it's a PC that's a desktop, that the screens are larger. Now, I've got sight problems, and therefore I have a 19-inch monitor.
Sure.
But there are other factors, like now there are a lot of the new TV screens that have an option for using your TV as your computer monitor as well.
Sure. I know someone who actually was using I think it was like a 36-inch screen for doing computing, and he had it on 1024 by 768, or whatever the appropriate resolution is for that.
Right.
It was just a matter of that was his vision, and he needed the icons to be a lot larger. The size of a $50, I think, was roughly how big those icons were.
And that is the other consideration of make sure whatever computer that you do buy has different accessibility type features. For instance, being able to have larger icons, going in there and being able to have a little bit larger screen, different scripts and everything else that you can use on those icons or with them.
Sure, yes.
Another thing that you might want to also include is when we talk about simplicity of use is, can I be able to set up the computer so that I can get into the different pieces of software by having the icons on the desktop or in a different folder or something that they know they can go to, and that's what they use.
Yeah, if you're helping somebody out, you've got to. Sometimes people do need a lot more assistance. If you're buying this for someone, yes, definitely.
And even if you're buying it for yourself, you've got to be able to say, "Hey, can you show me how this will work for me?" And when you go to buy it, and if a good salesperson will sit there and they'll show you how to do it.
Let me throw one at you. I know some people suffer from arthritis, and so they'll have problems with a mouse. Would a trackball help with that?
It might. A trackball might work better, and also if you happen to have, for instance, a touch screen would be helpful.
Okay, sure, yeah.
If you've got the software on your computer that you can dictate to it and only have to change the spell checking.
Yeah, well, and a number of things that you're mentioning here are actually now built into Windows 10. Cortana has the speech recognition. I would turn it off for most people most of the time, but Cortana does have that recognition. It's not the greatest, but you can get there's additional third-party programs out there that'll do that.
Sure. And these are the types of things that you're going to have to be looking at if you're buying it for somebody, or if you're buying it for yourself. These are some of the things that you should be asking yourself. Does it do this? Can it help me in doing these different tasks that I want to perform? And again, if I'm going back to school or if I'm not going back to school, what do I want my computer to be able to do for me?
Yes.
That's the number one thing. Kids going out there and saying, "Oh, I want to get one of these because everybody's..." No. Buy a computer for what you want it to use it for.
Sure, yeah. Definitely. Any other things come to mind? Is there anything special in the the keyboard range or anything like that?
In the keyboard range, they've got many different shapes of different layouts on the keyboard. I've got the really old standard because I can basically know where most of the stuff is. But again, if you've got arthritis or you have a real fast typist or something on this order, yes, there are different configurations, and you should consider the ones that works for you. Don't just go out there and buy one. Consider different keyboards. Also, consider the different sizes. Now, when I look at the sizes on the keys, I'm sitting there saying, well, can I see that? Is that too small for me to see? And how can I get them larger? They've got sets out there for all that.
We've only got about 20 seconds left. What about lit keyboards? I know that's going to vary depending on sight problems.
That's true.
But would a backlit keyboard help somebody like you in your situation, for instance?
It could, but not necessarily. Again, you'd have to be able to sit down and use one and be able to then say, oh, yeah, this would work for me, or this may not work at all.
Sounds like a trip for Grandma and Grandpa down to the local computer store is in order. This is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Steve Keske. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. S-I-T-E ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. Everything that I've talked about here throughout today's show is available online at computertalkradio.com. This is truly 80 minutes worth of content. If you did not get all of the show, go online to computertalkradio.com. Print it out if you want. Listen to the whole thing. We've got, of course, it's available on the podcast. It's available on YouTube. All of the information is there. And if there's any information missing, if I've missed some topic somewhere along the way in regards to how to buy a computer, what to buy, anything in regards to all of this, drop me a line. It's just partway down the page. It's where it says contact us. You want me to compare up 2 laptops? Great, I'll do that. 2 desktops. I will do that. I will provide you all kinds of information. Now, there is something else to talk about. There's a couple of things. One, extended warranties. Yeah, I avoid them. They're occasionally Apple Care. It's a nice warranty. There are some warranties that are fairly decent. You need to have a good price on those. Probably 15% is about the max. Sometimes 20%. It all depends. Kind of think it through. You don't want to spend too much on these warranties, especially since some of these warranties really they're only covering like stuff that's already covered. So be careful about that. The other thing I want to suggest to you right now is I do this regularly. I talk about the concept of budgeting. The real answer on budgeting is you need to figure this out now. Keith mentioned in the first hour, he talked about the fact that he tells people 5 years out. I mentioned this as well. We bantered for just a moment on this. 5 years from now, maybe you want to buy in 4 years. If you spent a little bit of money, if you were going for that minimum, you want to figure on buying in the sweet spot in 4 years. Maybe you always like the overkill system, so you're going to go for 3 years. It doesn't matter. Plot out when you next want to buy a computer. Cut it short a little bit, and then I want you to figure out how much you need to save every month to buy that new computer. The reason why I tell you to do this is because when you get to that point when you're going to buy it, sometimes you may say, I can go another 6 months. And you can get a better computer, or you can continue saving money, and then you'll find out that, hey, I got a new computer for cheaper than what I was expecting. Yeah, there's all kinds of neat little things that happen with this. And there's this guy by the name of Dave Ramsey. And this is one of those things, I got an idea of doing this from something along the line of whatever he said. I don't know if he directly said this or what, but this actually is something I've done for a long time, and it makes sense. A matter of you're paying for your computer up front right now, rather than, okay, you put it on a credit card, and then you're paying all that interest, and yeah, it gets crazy after that. So think about it. This is Benjamin Rockwell. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about the Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.